Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday, October 14th, 2025 meeting of the Ashland Zoning Board of Appeals here at the Ashland Town Hall on the second floor in the Select Board Hearing Room. This meeting is being recorded and broadcast live by WACA-TV and live streamed on Facebook. Remote participation is available using the Zoom video conferencing platform for convenience only. Any disruption with the video conferencing platform will result in the platform being shut down. However, the meeting will continue. Meetings will continue to be broadcast on WACA-TV and live streamed on Facebook. The posted agenda has a link to join the meeting via Zoom and also a telephone number to call in and join via telephone. First order of business on the agenda is to call the meeting to order. I, John Trefethen, present.
I, Brian Forrestall, present.
I, Stuart Siegel, am present on Zoom.
I, Ryan Sullivan, am present on Zoom.
And we are joined, as usual, by our Director of Planning and Economic Development, Jasmine Farinacci. And this evening we are joined by Town Council Brian Winter via Zoom. Brian, are you there?
Yes.
Nope, that's Brian Winter I was calling for, Ryan. And not,
sorry.
I can see
Sorry
I'm going to
about
have
that.
a problem tonight. I'll have to use two names.
We could go with Mr. Witter perhaps tonight, but yes, sir, I am here, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Okay, first item on the agenda after the call of the meeting to order is a continuance of the public hearing involving a 40B comprehensive permit, a request involving 10-60 Main Street. This hearing was commenced on January 7th, 2025, and we have held numerous meetings up until the most recent one on September 30th, 2025. The developer has kindly extended the time in which we need to conclude the hearing to October 30th. And once again, we thank you for that. At our last meeting, we had a sort of a public forum involving issues that were not directly before the ZBA, but to provide some information to the townspeople about this site, because it is a site that has great concern for many people, and rightly so, in the town of Ashland. We also had very brief presentation after that, and we were talking about doing some review of the request for waivers that the applicant has filed, but I also wanted to just clarify a couple of things. We had asked, and you were going to submit a schematic plan showing the project's height, and I think those came in just shortly before the meeting, and I'm not sure they really met what we were looking for. Mr. Engler, do you want to come up to the stand and we can perhaps have a little conversation about this?
For the record, Jeff Engler, SLV Ashland, representing the developer.
Thank you. Yeah, I think what at least what I had in mind, and I think the board as well, was to show what the height of the buildings were from the ground level. And most of the schematics seem to be shot from a drone at a higher level, and that doesn't really show us what I think we wanted to see, which was the height of the project from the street level, which a balloon test would have shown us, but you know, we didn't get that.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I brought copies acknowledging that we have two drone photos, but I don't think you can have any more of a street level image than this right here and this one as well. If it would help the board, what we can do and have our architect do is basically on these images, do some spot elevations of height or setback or whatnot, if it's
That would be helpful.
informational to the board.
That would be
I
very
mean,
helpful.
Bill, we can, or you guys can just take these and drop in, yeah. So that should not be a time-intensive exercise. What we'll attempt to do on the street-level images, we'll put heights, and to a lesser degree, setbacks, and then on the aerial images, and just incidentally, as the board probably already knows, these are images these are actual photographs of the existing condition, and we've dropped the building into those. What we'll do is we'll do some setback distances, we'll put some heights on the corners of the building, so you can see relatively, I see Jasmine has that
That
up.
would be very
We
useful
can do
for
that.
us.
So that's not a difficult task, and we will do that within the next couple of days, and you'll have that well in advance of the next hearing.
Excellent, thank you very much. And one final thing before we get to the waiver requests. At the meeting at the last time, you indicated that a full set of records had been submitted, including full engineering plans, full architectural plans, reflective of all that has been discussed. And I just want to make sure we're talking about the same thing. Were those submitted all in one package, or are you talking about what's been submitted over time up until now?
No, not over time, because that's precisely why there's been a lot of submissions over 10 months.
Exactly.
So basically, we've assimilated and aggregated all the comments. There were a few cleanups. I mean, the plans are materially the same as what you've seen. I will work with Jasmine, I can't say, but it was probably 3 or 4 weeks ago. I submitted an email. I believe it was a huge file, because these plan sets take up a lot of megs. And within the link, there was an architectural set and a civil set. And those included all of the plans that we've discussed to date, all of the details updated. And that was done. I can resubmit them. They haven't changed over the last 3 or 4 weeks since I originally submitted them, but that was what was done. It was done really for Mr. Winter's convenience and the board's convenience, so you had it all. Because believe me, I've been involved, as I'm sure council has been, and maybe a lesser extent this board, where you're post-permitting and you're like, wait, what was the plan set? Like, what's the reference? Which we had different iterations, trying to avoid that, so everybody's clear. These are the plans that are governing the permit. So that's a long-winded answer, but that's basically what we did.
Okay, because we don't seem to have that on the website, and I don't recall seeing it. I'm not sure Jasmine recalls seeing it, and I just want to make sure that before we get too much along on the requests for waivers and then starting to discuss conditions and everything, we all have the
Yeah.
same plans in mind, that's all.
I'm pretty sure it transmitted successfully. In fact, I think it was acknowledged, but it will take me 5 minutes to resubmit it, Mr. Chairman.
That
It's
probably is the easiest thing to do.
No skin off my back. So I'll be, tomorrow morning, I will get it'll come through as a link, because it's like 300 megs. These plans are huge. And if there's any issue, let me know, but it'll be one link with 2 files. One's the architectural, one's the civil engineering. And within the civil engineering, that has landscape architecture and some other things as well, so.
Okay, then any questions from members of the board before we go forward with the request for waivers?
I don't have any at this time.
Stu, Ryan, you all set?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And Attorney Winters, anything we need to do before we start talking about waivers?
No, not on the final plan set question. Look forward to just confirming we have it and getting that final set up on the website and recorded. As Mr. Engler mentioned, the eventual comprehensive permit that we've been working on is going to reference that final plan set, and I'm sure we're about to mention it a few times as we go through the waivers too, so it's important we just get that on record. So I'm all set for now. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. And what I'm proposing to do for the waivers is to go through them one by one and discuss them. There obviously are a number of them, and I don't anticipate going through all of them tonight. Timing-wise, we've got a busy evening, so if we could get through perhaps discussing a third to a half, that would be good progress that in my mind at least.
I think some of them, honestly, Mr. Chairman, not to be presumptuous, are pretty straightforward and shouldn't take much time at all. And some of them, many of them are procedural, and some of them are technical. We brought our team here tonight to discuss or to help answer any questions, but we're happy to run through them.
Okay, well, let's start off with item number 1, and these are all requests for waivers from the zoning bylaw of the town of Ashland, chapter 282. The first request is involving section 8.5.5.1, which requires ground floors of buildings which front on streets shall be reserved for non-residential uses. And the proposal, according to the developer, is that 2 buildings are proposed for this project that will be located along Main Street. Both non-residential and residential are proposed on the ground floors. And the explanation, why don't you read the explanation or tell us in your own
basically, the proposed development program has a mix of commercial and residential on the ground floor. I don't know how to put it any clearer than that. So we have some ground floor space that it's which is residential. As such, we need a waiver from this bylaw, this provision, excuse me.
Okay. Any questions from board members on this one?
No.
Okay, we're not going to vote tonight. We'll be voting next week. Item number 2 is section 8.5.6.1. Front building setback is the requirement of 8 feet minimum, 15 feet maximum, and what's proposed is 12 feet 7 inches minimum, a retaining wall, 16 feet 7 inches minimum, a building, and 132 feet 1 inch maximum building. And was that recently changed with a different?
No.
No?
I mean,
Okay.
that's reconciled to the plans that we've been
Okay.
presented. So effectively, Mr. Chairman, if we wanted to be more precise, we do not need a waiver from the minimum. We only need a waiver from the maximum. Am I accurate to say that? So if I'm reading that correctly, the 8-foot minimum, we exceed both the retaining wall and the building, but the maximum, we obviously have a building 132 feet back from the street, so we would need a waiver from the maximum only, if that matters to council.
Okay. Any question, board members?
Not for me.
None for me on this one either.
Okay, going on to item number 3, section 8.5.6.1, building height maximum 3 stories, maximum 38 feet is the requirement, and the proposal is 6 stories, 69 feet 11 inches, 5 floors over a parking garage, 60 feet 11 inches from the street grade, and the explanation on that one.
Well, the height of these buildings is unchanged from when we made the initial filing. So we need the waiver to build what has been submitted and discussed at length. I think what we can do is we can show on the rendering where the maximum height will be noted, which is at the rear of the building, and we'll show the spot heights at the fronts of the building as well. So maybe we reserve discussion on this until you see the plan, but we will need this waiver to build the program as proposed and submitted.
Okay, I think that would be a good one. We'll withhold questions on that one till our next meeting after we have the renderings. Number 4 is section 8.5.6.2, the requirement, building orientation. Buildings shall be placed on the site to define the edges of streets and public spaces, constructed to be parallel to the street or public space. Multiple buildings on single lots are permitted. Where multiple buildings exist, to the extent practicable, they shall be arranged to form a grid-like pattern. The proposal is that the existing lot has frontages on both Main Street and Myrtle Street. The proposed buildings mainly follow Main Street and varies in depth from the front property line. And the explanation is?
I mean, the plan does not perfectly conform to this. It does not form a grid-like pattern. There's some angles and some offsets, so we do not conform to this exactly. We're simply asking the board to waive this to approve the plans as has been peer-reviewed and submitted.
Okay. Any question, board members, on this one for the moment?
No questions.
Okay.
Done.
You know what, going forward, rather than asking if there are questions, if anyone does have a question, speak up, and that way, if there's silence, we can move on to the next one. Item number 5 is section 8.5.6.7. Height may be increased up to 48 feet through a special permit by the planning board and in its accordance with section 9.3 to allow for architectural features that add to the building design and which shall not increase additional living space. Examples of such features include a pinnacle, cupola, a clock tower, a terrace, observation area, and the like. On the proposal, 6 stories, 69 feet 11 inches, and again, 5 floors over a parking garage, 60 feet 11 inches from street grade. And again, this is something that perhaps we can reserve comment for until we see the renderings and the markings.
Mr. Chairman, in the interest of time, waiver number 3, 5, 6, and 7 all relate to the height of the building. So we may just want to put a pin in those for the time being after we submit the updated plan.
Okay. Is that acceptable to the board? It works for me.
And I'll,
Yeah, works for me.
Excellent.
It is. I just have one clarification on the updated plan that you intend to submit. Will it show will it demark the elevation above the allowed heights on it? Like, will
I mean,
there be some indication?
we can do whatever you'd like. I mean, what I was envisioning is just having almost, for lack of a better description, bubbles that show heights of the corners and other key, features of the design. So it would say like 24 feet here, 36 feet there, 49 feet, 69 feet, 11 inches. Where does that? And we'll just have, spot heights throughout the entirety of the plan as well as setbacks. I think that will be illustrative and easy to understand.
And it's to scale anyway, right? So if you have those reference points,
Right.
That should be
Bill,
fine.
was that what you were? Yeah. So that's what we were planning on doing.
okay, thank you.
Okay, moving on to number 8, section 8.5.8, the requirement, general regulations, the Town of Ashland Design Review Guidelines, dated 2015 to the most recent edition, adopted by the Planning Board pursuant to the authority granted hereunder, available from the Town of Ashland Planning Department, shall guide the implementation of the standards of this section. All new signs will follow the sign requirements of the commercial B zones as noted in section 5.3 of this zoning bylaw. There is no proposal, and the explanation for that is
Yes, Mr. Chairman, as the board knows, we submitted a full signage plan and talked about it at, good length. So we're simply asking the board to waive this provision and accept the signage package dated 7/21/2025, which was reviewed and which was submitted and reviewed by this board.
Okay. Moving on, number 9, section 8.5.10.5. The requirement is no driveway or parking lot shall be placed in the portion of a lot that is directly in front of a building as seen from a street, whether or not the building is located on the same lot as the driveway or parking lot, except that a driveway and parking lot may be placed in the front of a building that is located in the rear of another building when viewed from a street. And the proposed,
Well, as the chair knows, and the board, as part of the overall evolution of the plan, we have a small parking lot in front of the building, which both the board and the peer reviewer thought was a good idea to accommodate drop-offs, deliveries, guests, et cetera. So we don't conform to this bylaw or this provision. We're just asking the board to waive this provision and approve the plan set as submitted and peer reviewed.
okay, thank you. Number 10, section 5.4.2, buffering between residential and non-residential uses. And what's proposed is the site will contain a non-residential use and abuts a residential zone and use. The site is surrounded by wooded areas that will remain untouched as part of this project. And the explanation?
We've submitted the landscaping plan for the record and discussed it several times. This is a current non-residential use in its existing form. So it'll be, we will have a small amount of non-residential use, but obviously largely residential. But we're basically cannot conform exactly as the bylaw is written or as the section is written. So like many other things, we're just asking the board to waive this provision and approve the landscaping plan as reviewed and submitted to the board. Also, I made a note here. I apologize, Mr. Chairman, for
go right ahead.
interrupting. Not to put council on the spot, but in reviewing this, I'm not even sure that this really applies to us. And if it's relevant, and Mr. Winter doesn't have to answer this tonight, obviously, but if in his determination this doesn't really apply, we can remove the waiver in its entirety. But should it apply, we're going to need it waived.
Okay, very good. Moving on, number 11 is section 5.4.3, buffer areas. And what's proposed, the site abuts a residential zone and residential use to the southern property line. The site is surrounded by wooded areas that will remain untouched as part of this project, and additional plantings along the street frontage will be proposed along the street frontage. And the explanation?
It's similar to number 10, Mr.
Number
Chairman.
10.
We can't conform to this perfectly. There's things inherent to the site already in existence that prevent us from doing as such. So we're just asking the board to waive this provision so we can build the project and the landscaping plan as submitted.
Okay, very good. Number 12, section 5.4.4. The requirement, parking areas containing 8 or more spaces shall contain or be bordered by at least 1 tree per 8 spaces. Such trees shall be in any case not further than 5 feet from the parking cell. And what's proposed is that the internal landscaping near parking areas will be provided wherever it says practical, but I assume practical.
Yes.
And
Sorry
the
about that.
explanation?
Well, the explanation is we have landscaping around the parking, but not in the parking. We talked about parking at length, and to meet this bylaw would be eliminating a lot of spaces to do plantings. We thought that was not necessary, and as such, we're just asking the board to waive this provision and allow us to build the plan as proposed and peer reviewed.
Okay, number 13, section 5.4.7, requirement is that special permit to authorize a reduction in authorized plantings and what's proposed, waiver requested from special permit and all applicable special permit requirements under this section. And
Yeah, this is purely administrative. I mean, we're not seeking a special permit. We're seeking a comprehensive permit, and the zoning board is the issuer of that permit. So we're just asking the board to waive this, recognizing that this permit will be the governing document, not a special permit.
okay, number 14, section 8.5.11, building design standards and the requirement. The proposed is that the proposed design conforms to many provisions in this section, but does not conform perfectly to all of them due to the varied nature of the architectural forms and buildings. And the explanation is?
Yeah, this is governed by the planning board. So for one, we're not going to be appearing before the planning board. We're asking the zoning board to act in its place per the 40B process. And two, there are parts of the building design standards we can't meet for a number of reasons, some of which are the preservation of the existing buildings. So we're just simply asking the board to waive this provision and approve the architectural plan set as peer-reviewed and submitted.
Okay, have you highlighted what provisions of the bylaws you're not able to meet?
The building design standards?
Yes.
No, because we started reviewing it and there were I could tell there were several that right off the bat we didn't meet. But if it would be helpful for the board, I'm sure we could specifically identify which we meet and which we don't meet.
I think it would be helpful for us in deciding whether or not to grant the waiver to know exactly what we would be waiving. Number 15, section 5.1.4.2, requirement is there shall be not more than one entrance and one exit from such lots per 200 feet of street frontage or fraction thereof. If necessary, to meet this requirement, uses shall arrange for shared egress. And what's proposed, that the project proposes 2 parking areas, each with an entrance and exit. And the explanation?
Yeah, I mean, it's the board, this one's obvious. The board, have a plan, we submitted, it's been peer-reviewed exhaustively. We have two points of egress. Everybody thinks it's a good idea, so we would ask the board to waive this provision.
Okay. Number 16, section 5.1.7, requirement is a special permit for reduction in parking, and the proposal is, the project proposes 362 parking stalls. A waiver is requested from the special permit requirement, and no explanation necessary. Number 17, section 5.3.12, the requirement is signage in downtown commercial districts, A, D, D, and CD. What's proposed, a freestanding sign may not be higher than 15 feet. Only one freestanding sign is allowed, and only one sign may be attached to a building per establishment, and it could be no more than 50 square feet. And the explanation?
Yep, we're just asking the board once again to approve the signage package that was submitted and discussed with the board on July 21st.
We will take a look at that and discuss what that was back on July 21st. Number 18 is section 5.7.3, requirement erosion control. What's proposed, there are existing slopes on site that are in excess of horizontal of 3 and a vertical of 1 slope. And the explanation?
Yeah, we're working with the existing topography of the site. We can't meet this without doing massive excavation, which we really can't do with the condition of the soils, not to mention it makes no sense. We're working with an existing site and existing topography, so we're asking for a waiver from this provision so we can build the plan as presented.
Okay, next, number 19 is section 5.8, site alteration special permit. What's proposed is a waiver requested from site alteration.
Mr. Chairman, if I
Yes.
may, in the interest of time, 19, 20, 21, and 22 are all administrative, and we're simply asking that the zoning board be the permit issuer, and that the comprehensive permit act in place of the planning board as it relates to, plan submission and review. So those, all four of those fall in the same administrative category.
Okay, we'll discuss those at our next meeting. Next category is waivers, stormwater management, and illicit discharges in connection of the town of Ashland, Chapter 247 and 343. The local regulation, Chapter 247, stormwater management and illicit discharges and connections. And what's proposed is a waiver requested from stormwater management and illicit discharges in connection of the town of Ashland, as the proposed redevelopment is required to comply with state regulations. And the explanation?
The explanation is we've submitted a full plan set that's been peer reviewed by Hancock Engineering, and I don't speak for them, but it's my interpretation that they've approved the plan set. Moreover, we'll be filing a full notice of intent with the Conservation Commission. So we're simply asking to remove the requirement that we submit local applications for stormwater management and illicit discharge, because under 40B, that's not a requirement.
On this one, Mr. Chairman, I do have a question.
Yes, Ryan.
That I would like for Attorney Winter, if he's able to kind of inform us on. We received a request, a letter actually from the Concom requesting that we not waive these specific requirements. If we were to not provide the waivers on these now, would the process be that those specific items would go to the Concom?
Mr. Chairman, through you, if I may answer that.
Your voice
so-
is very soft.
Let me get the microphone a little closer.
There you go.
Is this
Perfect.
better?
Much
Okay,
better.
so-
Yes.
So that's one of the possibilities. But I think in order to answer your question with a little more specificity, I'd like a little more information, and through you, Mr. Chairman, to the applicant, Mr. Engler, if there are specific provisions that he's seeking a waiver from. I understand the application requirement. That kind of speaks for itself. But if there are performance standards thereunder, I'm a little confused if the applicant's going to comply, with any state requirements for stormwater management, illicit discharges, and connections. I'd like to see which local requirements they either need or are seeking a waiver from, and then we could have a better understanding of, what they're asking for with respect to our bylaw as compared to what's proposed on the plans. And I think that would help the board have a better understanding of the Conservation Commission's comments. The Conservation Commission has requested the board not grant this waiver, but I think we need to understand it a little bit better to understand what you're really waiving if you were to grant it. So a little more information here, I think, would be necessary. And again, if it's coextensive with a state requirement that they're going to meet anyway, well, then maybe a waiver isn't necessary. They're already meeting that standard, so it might not need to be waived at all. But if it's more, if it's an additional requirement beyond what the state requires, well, then I'd like to know what that is.
I don't think that's an unreasonable request, and we can endeavor to provide the specificity. Candidly, we got the Concom letter 2 hours before this hearing. Listen, in full candor, the Concom's made their position known on this project from the outset, And we are not going through extensive additional things that are not required under 40B with conservation. We're going to file a notice of intent. It's going to be robust and thorough, and we will meet all the established standards. But I've given this board and this town pretty much everything it's asked for since day one. And these waivers collectively are necessary, all of them, to build the plan that we've so diligently talked about for 10 months. So to not grant some of these waivers for whatever reason is tantamount to not approving the plan set, and we're going to collectively have a significant problem. So I just want that to be known. Nothing that's been asked tonight has been unreasonable, and certainly council's request, we will endeavor to provide that additional detail, and we'll do so for 23. You know, and we're getting into the other wetlands protection stuff. That will be, you know, part of the discussion we have with conservation. But if the board were to not grant these waivers, because it's been reviewed by Hancock, all the plans, everything, it would be, well, I don't want to say anymore. We can talk about, we're almost through, Mr. Chairman, so we can keep going. And I think that would be pretty good progress for the evening.
I would not disagree with that statement, although I might disagree with some of your prior statements about the Concom. But with respect to the letter that you just received, and we understand it was just received by you from the conservation agent, the two specific items they ask about, Article 1 and then also Article 2, if you could specifically address those as they apply to us and what we're doing here, the comprehensive permit, I think that would be helpful for us and helpful for you as well.
Noted.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to waivers from Wetland Protection Bylaw of the Town of Ashland, Chapter 280.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I think 24, as I read it, is misleading because we go on to identify the specific provisions that we're asking a request from. So I think I'm going to take that out because it doesn't, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, it doesn't make any sense because we identify the specific provisions below.
So
24 will come out.
okay, thank you. So in order to make sure that I understand correctly, apart from the specific waivers in 26, 27, 28, and going on, those are the only items in the Wetlands Protection Bylaw that you're seeking to be waived?
At this time, I believe that's correct.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Mr. Chairman, just one point on that again. If you do go ahead and remove that one, if you could just indicate 24 removed and then keep the numbers the same just for all the notes we're keeping,
Yeah.
and then to tie to the record, it does look like there was a 25 missing as we went through.
Okay.
So
Noted. Yeah, we'll just do a track changes version until we have a final document that we're all comfortable with.
excellent.
So item number 26 would be section 280-1, and the requirement, purpose, and resource area values. The bylaw includes additional resource area values of erosion and sedimentation control, water quality, agriculture, and aquaculture. And proposed is the waivers requested from these additional waivers, and the project be subject to the resource area values identified within the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act. And the explanation is that the site requires compliance with the Mass Stormwater Management Standards and a NPDES SWPPP. Therefore, erosion, sedimentation control, and water quality are appropriately addressed through the Mass WPA without subjectivity. Agriculture and aquaculture are not applicable to this project. So is what you're saying that the Massachusetts law, which Concom will continue to have jurisdiction over, provides the same protection as Section 280-1 for the local bylaw?
For the record, my name is Chris Lucas with Lucas Environmental, professional wetland scientist and registered professional soil scientist. The State Wetland Protection Act has certain interests we have to meet. The local bylaw under Section 280-1 has additional erosion sediment control, water quality, agriculture, and aquaculture.
So it's additional to what the state requires?
These four interests are additional to what the state requires.
Okay.
We believe with the significant peer review that's been conducted by Hancock for the stormwater standards, that we've gone above and beyond for erosion sediment control and water quality. And then the other two interests, agriculture and aquaculture, are unapplicable for this site. So.
Okay. Number 27 is Section 280-2. Requirement statutory authority. The bylaw protects the resource areas under the Mass WPA to a greater degree, protects additional resource areas beyond the act recognized by the town as significant, protects all resource areas for their additional values beyond those recognized in the act, and imposes in local regulations and permits additional standards and procedures stricter than those of the act and associated regulations, 310 CMR 10.00, and proposal is waiver requested from protection of resource areas under the Mass WPA to a greater degree to protect additional resource areas beyond those identified in the WPA and to protect resource areas for their additional values beyond those in the WPA. And the explanation is?
It's the same as the previous
same?
one. Yep.
Well, okay, item number 280-4.B. Requirement is maintain a 25-inch no disturb zone.
25 foot, Mr.
25
Chairman.
foot, excuse me. At 25 inches would make great sense. You might not object to that. No disturb zone around protected wetland resources, and thank you for correcting my misstatement. And the waiver is requested from requirement to maintain that, and the explanation is?
Well, for 28, 29, Mr. Chairman, and 38, we're working in areas that are already disturbed. So we're asking the board to waive this to allow us to build what we've shown on the plans. We can't do that without these waivers being granted.
Okay. Number 29 is section 280-7. The requirement is prohibitions, no work or disturbance, including but not limited to grading and vegetation removal, shall be permitted within 25 feet of any resource area. The explanation is waiver requested from local limitations for work within that 25 feet of any resource area. And I assume the same explanation?
Yes.
Number 30, section 280-9, administration, written application shall be filed with the Conservation Commission to perform activities affecting resource areas protected by this bylaw. No activities shall commence without receiving and complying with the permit issued pursuant to this bylaw. The applicant requests a waiver for filing permit applications solely for this bylaw. And the explanation is that the applicant is going to file a notice of intent with the Conservation Commission under the Massachusetts WPA. Number 31 is section 280-9, administration. Any person filing a permit application with the Conservation Commission shall give written notice by certified mail, return receipt requested to all abutters at their mailing address as shown on the most recent applicable tax list of the assessors. Purpose, the applicant requests a waiver from mailing notices via certified mail. And the explanation, per the Mass WPA, abutter mailings can now be sent via certificate of mailing, which is how communications will occur here. Certified mail notification was also not required for the comprehensive permit filing. So my understanding is then that the only change is, rather than certified mail, it's going to be mail with a certificate of mailing being filed.
Yes.
Okay. Number 32 is Section 280-9, Administration. In order for an application to be considered complete, the Commission must have approved the delineation of resource areas affecting the proposed project within 3 years of the submittal date through the issuance of an order of resource area delineation. And what's proposed is the applicant requests a waiver from the 3-year requirement for an ORAD. And the explanation is the Massachusetts Permit Extension Act has extended the ORAD beyond 3 years. As such, Mass law has made the ORAD in this instance valid through 11/17/2028. And the applicant has included a waiver here to confirm the town is in agreement with this legal interpretation. Okay, where did the town agree to that? I just want to make sure.
The
So-
town hasn't agreed to anything. We're just asking for council to confirm that our ORAD is in conformance or under the Mass Permit Extension Act, in which case it's valid through.
Gotcha, okay.
And,
The-
and Mr. Chairman, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt anybody.
That's all right, Attorney.
That's just a function of state law, so we will just verify the dates and applicability. I know it's put here as a waiver request, but it's essentially just a legal proposition, so we will review that
Okay,
and confirm
Yeah,
that.
it may not, we might be able to remove it if council believes so.
okay, excellent. Number 34, Section 280-12, surety. Methods of surety required by the Conservation Commission include A, a proper bond, deposit of money or negotiable securities, or B, conservation restriction. What's proposed is the applicant requests a waiver from the surety requirements. And explanation, the applicant will not be placing any land in conservation restriction. As such, a waiver is requested from subsection B. Number 36 is Section 348-1, General Provisions, Purpose and Resource Area Values. The regulations include additional resource area values of erosion and sedimentation control, water quality, agriculture, and aquaculture. The proposed is a waiver requested from these additional waivers, and that the project be subject to the resource area values identified within the Mass WPA. And the explanation is that the site requires compliance with Mass Stormwater Management Standards and an MPDES SWPPP. Therefore, erosion and sedimentation control and water quality are appropriately addressed through the Mass WPA without subjectivity. Agriculture and aquaculture are not applicable.
This ties to 26 and 27, Mr. Chairman. It's basically the same.
Okay, thank you. Number 38, protection of buffer zones. And what is proposed is the applicant requests a waiver from the presumption of significance for the buffer zone and the performance standards for the 25-foot NDZ and the 100-foot buffer zone. And the explanation is the site is currently developed and the applicant plans to redevelop the existing disturbed areas of the site, portions of which are located within 25 feet of resource areas. Site improvements will require work in the 25-foot NDZ and within the 100-foot buffer zone. The work should occur in areas previously disturbed. Anything further on that?
No, I mean, we can't build the plan without this being waived.
Number 39, Section 348-4, rules for hiring outside consultants, bylaw review. What's proposed is the applicant requests a waiver for the Conservation Commission to hire outside consultants for review of the bylaw and regulations requirements for the notice of intent to be filed. And the explanation is the applicant is amenable to peer review fees for the review of the notice of intent, subject to the Massachusetts WPA, but not for fees related to review of the local bylaw, as the applicant has already paid peer review fees to Hancock Engineering to do as much. So my understanding is you are not seeking to prevent the Conservation Commission from having peer review for the notice of intent filed under the state laws. Is that right?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Number 39 is Section 348-4. I'm sorry, I think I just did that. Number 40. I liked it so much I wanted to go back and do it again. Number 40, Section 348-4, rules for hiring outside counsel. Failure by the applicant to pay the consultant fee specified by the commission within 10 business days of the request for payment may be a basis for the commission to deny the permit application for lack of information. The applicant requests a waiver for the 10-day requirement, and the applicant will work in good faith with the commission as it has with the ZBA, but asks for a waiver from this provision as it is too severe to be able to deny the permit for a payment outside of the specified time window. Well, the fee that refers to is the peer review fee for the notice of intent? I'm a little confused if you're seeking a waiver.
It's correct, but 10 days is a little draconian. What if we didn't get the response? What if the town doesn't get the check? What if, something happened? What if I got hit by a bus and nobody's there? I mean, 10 days and all of a sudden they pull the permit because we didn't pay? It's extreme. I've never heard of anything like that.
Okay, so that's what we're looking for. And is that the last one? Okay. That is what I had. Okay, well, I think we both have some work to do before the next hearing, which will be on October 28th, 2 days before the extension that you've given us. So,
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I think we made good progress going over everything, but I don't have any real direction from the board on those. I feel a little uneasy. The board's decision, we've worked hard, and I apologize if I'm reiterating, for 10 months going through these plans and having peer review exhaustively look at everything and us come to, collaborative agreements on things. So in my humble opinion, in my opinion only, to not grant some of these waivers is tantamount to not approving the plans that have been submitted. And that's going to be problematic for all of us. So I hope in the board's infinite wisdom, after we provide our additional information, it recognizes that these waivers are not submitted kind of haphazardly or capriciously, or we need these to build the plans that we've talked about. I don't know how much clearer, and for us to adhere to the 40B regulations. So I look forward to that discussion at the next hearing, because it's going to be an important one, but I just want for the record kind of my thinking along what these waivers mean to be known.
I know you, and we appreciate that you've worked hard over the many months that this application has been pending. And without tooting our own horn, I would submit that the board has worked very hard over the past 8 or 9 months on this project. And it's coming to a conclusion. We will have votes at the next meeting with respect to the waiver requests. And then I would anticipate we will go into a discussion period about a decision. And I am not going to prejudge what that decision will be, other than if you've given us all the information that we've asked for, and with the additional items between now and the next meeting, I think we will have what we need to have. We'll give it a fair, honest discussion and vote, and where that leads or where that ends up, I can't tell you right now, but I understand you've put a lot into this project, and obviously you want it to be approved.
I appreciate all that, Mr. Chairman. Just for clarity, though, if the board approves the project but doesn't approve some of the waivers, it's tantamount to not approving the project. I think that needs to be communicated.
I understand that certainly, and I also understand that if we approve the project and put conditions on it that you don't approve of, that there is an appeal process that you can avail yourself to. And hopefully that won't come to that, that we'll reach a decision that will work for you, will work for the town, and going forward. But we understand we're not necessarily the end of the road.
Sure, and I appreciate that, and I'm honestly less concerned about the conditions, having worked with the board and council. I'm confident we can draft a decision that the board feels good about. I just felt compelled relative to the waivers. I think what I said is as clear as I can make it. Approving the project but not approving the waivers is inconsistent, and not approving the waivers is effectively not approving the project. That's how I would try to couch it.
Okay, well, I think you made yourself clear, and we will vote on the waiver request at the next meeting.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank
We
you
look
very
forward to
much.
seeing you.
Thank you for bringing your entire team with you tonight to help.
Are we all set, or?
We are all set.
Okay.
Board members, do you have any questions? Attorney Winter, any questions at this point before we can take a vote to continue the hearing to the next meeting?
I'm good at this time.
Mr. Chairman, not a question, but maybe just a statement and a request. In preparation for the next hearing, would you like us to sort of work up the waiver list? I understand the applicant's going to provide us some updates, and maybe get some feedback from our peer review consultants, so we have the benefit of that before the board deliberates and takes a vote at the next meeting on these.
I think that would be helpful.
Understood then. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I do have one question, and it's just in terms of which associate member will be voting on this particular case. I don't know if that is something we had decided previously or not, but I'm wondering if it might make sense to determine that now.
Well, we have not decided. I think both associate members have attended all the meetings, and each may have missed one meeting but made it up, so that our normal would be to go on the next rotation. The hearing decision we're going to discuss later tonight, Ryan, you were the third member chosen to vote on that. So unless there's another one that comes up, Stu would be given the opportunity to sit on it if he wants to, or if he chooses not to, then it would be you. We don't need to vote on that tonight, and I would prefer not to vote on that until we close the hearing, which will be at
Excellent.
the next meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, does someone wish to make a motion to continue the hearing until Tuesday, October 28th, 2025 at 7 p.m.?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
I, John Trefethen, vote in favor.
I, Brian Forrest, I'll vote in favor.
I, Stuart Siegel, vote in favor.
I, Ryan Sullivan, vote in favor.
Excellent, thank you very much. This matter is continued to October 28th. And thank you, Mr. Engler. Okay, next item on the agenda is the continuation of a public hearing involving a 40B comprehensive permit request for 61 Waverly Street. This hearing was opened on March 25th, 2025, has been held at a number of dates as recently as September 30th, 2025. The applicant has given us an extension of time in which to complete the hearing to, I believe it was October 28th, 2025, which coincidentally is the date of our next meeting. When we were last before the board, the applicant, at our September 30th meeting, we had a discussion on a number of points, some of which we reached agreement on with respect to our peer review, Haley and Ward, and the water and sewer issue, and there was one item in that area that was still open and had not been agreed to by the parties. And we had also talked about some architectural changes which the applicant indicated he was not willing to accept at this time, but offered an alternative with that to consider those at a later date if the comprehensive permit was granted. If you would step up, Mr. Horwitz. Lopez. I do this every single time. I apologize for misstating your last name. Once again, I remember Israel, but I didn't want to be so informal as to call you by your first name, so I apologize. Does that basically summarize where we were at the last meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
And we continued the matter to tonight, and we have some requests for waivers to go over. Is there anything else we need to consider before we get to the waivers?
No, Mr. Chair, I just, for the record, Israel Lopez with the Gutierrez Company. I also have our team joining by Zoom, Will Park, our civil engineer from SMMA, and our wetland scientist, Tom Schutz, excuse me, from Goddard Consulting, available to answer any questions as we go through the waivers. The one thing that if the board would like is we did provide a memo, our civil engineer provided a memo subsequent to the last hearing on the topic of the ledge along Waverly Street. I know it's a topic of conversation that has come up a couple of times, and we wanted to be thorough in our response. And if the board would like, Will Park from SMMA can run through that memo quickly if the board pleases. If not, we can move on to the
Well, for my purpose, I think the memo was well-written and understandable, so I don't know that there's any explanation further that's needed. I would ask my fellow board members, Brian, Stu, or Ryan, any questions on that memo from Mr. Parks about the ledge issue?
No.
Stu, it looks like you're shaking your head no,
Correct.
and now you're shaking your head yes.
No, correct.
Yes, no, okay. And Ryan?
No questions on that memo. Thank you.
Okay, fine. I mean, it will be part of the record of the hearing, so we can go from there. On the waiver request, we have a list contained in a letter dated October 9th, 2025, including a list of the waiver requests, and indicates that there are no, well, we'll go through it. As we did at the last hearing, I think we'll go through the items one by one, if that's all right. I would not expect to vote on any of the waivers tonight, but we'll simply clarify, see if we need any additional information for them, and then at our next meeting on October 28th, vote on the waivers.
Great.
Understood? Okay. First waiver, section 5.3.11, requirement is monument signs to be not greater than 3 feet tall and 12 square feet. And the proposed waiver requested is to request a waiver to signs to be 4 feet tall and not greater than 16 square feet to allow for better visibility from approaching vehicles. So you would be acceptable to a condition of 4-foot tall signs and 16 square feet?
Correct. And,
Okay.
and we would continue to meet the town's local sign bylaws. So we're just, we felt that the
Looking
3
for
foot by
that.
4
Okay.
feet was a little bit small.
Just wanted to clarify. Section 5.4.
Mr. Chairman, did you,
Yes, Stu, I'm sorry.
did you miss 5.1.2?
I'm sorry, what number?
On the document I have, there's a 5.1.2. Parking requirements, 2 spaces per dwelling unit are required.
Through you, Mr. Chair, that waiver is combined with the waiver for 8.6.8. They're related. And so.
Oh, okay, yep. Stu, if you look at the second page of the waiver requests, the first one listed is 8.6.8 and 5.1.2. So why don't we take it at that, take it together with that?
Okay,
Okay. Next, 5.4.4 and 5.4.5. The requirement is required number and spacing of trees. And the proposed waiver is the project will comply with the number and types of trees specified in the bylaw. A waiver is requested to allow the tree spacing and locations to be as shown on the plans of record, which, for example, such spacing may not be exactly 10 feet on center as specified. Anyone have any questions on that? Moving on, 5.7.3, parenthesis 1. Requirement, no grading or construction on slopes greater than 3 to 1 without a special permit from the planning board. Request waiver from this section as this project is being proposed through a comprehensive permit and the ZBA is the permit granting authority. With respect, Mr. Lopez, with respect to the specific requirement of grading or construction on slopes greater than 3-1, are you looking to waive that requirement or just the planning board aspect of that requirement?
Both. So there is a small section of grading that is greater than 3 to 1. And so there is a small section where the waiver would be required, but I believe the bylaw also goes to, not having slopes greater than 3 to 1 unless you have sediment and erosion control measures in place, which our plan does have. And so it's a little unclear if we even need the waiver, but just for the sake of, thoroughness, we wanted to include it.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Moving on then to 5.8.2, requirement site alteration special permit from the planning board. And the proposed waiver, request waiver from this section of the project is being proposed through a comprehensive permit, and the ZBA is the permit granting authority.
So this one is just a purely administrative waiver.
Okay. Section 8.6.6, 9 parenthesis C. Requirement for buildings containing only residential uses in Area D and Area E, no building or structure shall exceed a height of 3 stories unless allowed under the special permit conditions of this section. And the request waiver to allow 5 stories. The building is set back over 100 feet from all lot lines and significantly buffered by existing trees to remain along the perimeter of the site. Moving on, 8.6.6, 10 parenthesis A. A multifamily project is limited to 115 units except as noted hereinafter. A multifamily project must set aside a minimum-sized area of 80,000 square feet for commercial development. The proposed waiver is request waiver to allow 226 units and waive requirements for any commercial space. As shown on the plans, the project site is more than adequate to support the proposed unit count. Furthermore, adding commercial space would create more site impacts and detract from the residential character of the project. 8.6.610, parenthesis B, bedroom limitation does not explicitly allow studio units, requesting a waiver to allow studio units. 8.6.7, parenthesis 2, no development in required setbacks and as approved by the planning board. Request waiver of the ZBA as the permit granting authority. No development is proposed within the required setbacks, but a waiver is requested to the degree that is needed to allow for a portion of a stormwater basin within a small portion of one setback and grading as shown in the plans of record.
So, Mr. Chair, on
Yes.
this one, just to clarify, again, I'm not sure, because the bylaw is not completely clear on this, whether we would even need the waiver. We don't have any building, any development program within the buffer. What we have is grading within a portion of the buffer, and I'm not sure if that's considered development per se, but to the extent that it is, it's not a defined term within the bylaw in that section. We included the waiver for that reason.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. 8.6.8 and 5.1.2, requirement is parking and loading requirements. 2 spaces per dwelling unit are required. Requesting a waiver is the ZBA as the permit granting authority to allow 1.70 spaces per unit to be constructed with the ability to land bank up to 10% of the total spaces. The land bank spaces will be shown on the plans of record. It may be constructed in the future if needed based on tenant demand. Reducing the number of spaces per unit reduces impervious surfaces and overall project impacts. 1.7 spaces per unit is more than adequate as per projected parking demand by the ITE manual, as noted by the town's traffic peer reviewer. The project will implement traffic demand measures to encourage public transportation and fewer cars. Stu, did you have a question about this one, or it was just that we had skipped 5.1.2?
It was just the order that
Okay.
got me confused.
Explain a little bit the land bank spaces. What is meant by that?
This was a suggestion that was made early on by the traffic peer reviewer, whether
Okay.
there could be some, an opportunity to land bank spaces in order to meet the town's requirement. And at that point, we had included this as a waiver for that purpose. So this is not, the ability to land bank the spaces is not critical to our development. We don't think we'll need that parking. And I think the peer review that the town conducted
Okay.
supports the amount of parking that we've proposed.
Item 8.6.10.7, outdoor lighting fixtures shall be mounted no higher than 15 feet, except as taller fixtures requested and approved in writing by the planning board. And the explanation is request waiver for lighting to be mounted at 20 feet. Lighting from a mounted fixture 5 feet higher, i.e. at 20 feet, will still comply in every other respect with the lighting bylaw, i.e. lighting will be directed inward and shielded to avoid glare on adjoining premises. The project will maintain significant buffers from abutting properties. Mounting fixtures at 20 feet reduces project impacts and provides for a better, more even distribution of light. Lighting fixtures will be dark sky compliant. So you're seeking a waiver of 5 feet?
That's it.
Okay. 8.6.16, submission of a site development plan to the planning board. I assume this is administrative only?
Correct. Same with 8.6.
8.6.17, Planning Board decision. I'm sure they will be very happy not to have to make a decision in this case. Moving on to 8.6.18, security and work performed. Request waiver from this section as the project is being proposed through a comprehensive permit. CBA is a permit granting authority, and the project does not involve construction of a subdivision. 8.6.19, development scheduling. Request waiver as the project is being proposed through a comprehensive permit, and the ZBA is the permit granting authority.
And I believe the next several waiver
I was
requests.
going to say number 9.1, enforcement.
9.3.
Talking about the building inspector has no authority to review approvals from other non-local governmental agencies. 9.3, special permits, request a waiver as the project is being proposed through a comprehensive permit, and the ZBA is the granting authority, so that would be administrative as well.
Correct.
9.4, site plan review, request a waiver from section 9.4, site plan review, as this is a project being proposed through comprehensive permit. Again, administrative.
Yes. And if I may, Mr. Chair, I just want to clarify on 9.1 enforcement and the building inspector. We have no problem with providing the building inspector copies of all of the approvals that are needed to develop the project. The bylaw was a little unclear about whether the building inspector could also kind of review each of those permits, and that seemed highly unusual. So our council wanted this to be included just for clarification, but just to be clear, we have no issue with providing the building inspector with all the permits that are necessary to build the project.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. 9.6, design plan review, and again, requesting a waiver, again, administrative.
Yes.
9.7, rate of development bylaw, request waiver to the degree that this bylaw is still in effect as the project is being proposed through a comprehensive permit. Waivers from stormwater management and illicit discharges and connections. Local regulation, chapter 247, stormwater management and illicit discharges and connections, and the explanation. Request waiver from this section as this project is being proposed through a comprehensive permit, and the ZBA is the permit granting authority. The proposed project is required to comply with state DEP regulations, including filing of an SWPPP and NPDES permit, and with an order of conditions for which the applicant will apply through a notice of intent. Further, as detailed in correspondence with the town's stormwater peer review, the project will comply with the provisions of this section. So
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt. But as we stated before with the last public hearing, I have a similar just request for clarification on some of these things. And I think the sections that come next, Chapter 280 on wetlands protection, it's fine if it's coextensive with state standards and regulations, but if there's something more stringent locally that they're seeking a waiver from, I would just like some more clarification on what that is. And not to skip ahead, but on 280, Chapter 280 for wetlands protection, there's a statement that the proposed project does generally comply with the local bylaws provisions, and it goes on. And so to the extent that it's already in compliance, then we wouldn't really need to consider a waiver. So I think just maybe some more detail here would be helpful when the board gets to the deliberations and decision stage.
Would you be able to provide that information?
Yeah, so I think it's worth pausing and talking a little bit more about the stormwater management waiver request that we have, and also the wetland bylaw waiver. We believe our plans comply with the local stormwater regulations. So, but our understanding is that that stormwater management permit is issued through the through the Conservation Commission as a local permit. And because the project is being proposed through the ZBA becomes the local permit granting authority for all local permits. And so I think our request is either that the ZBA issue the permit, issue the stormwater management permit, or waive the requirement for the Conservation Commission to issue the stormwater management permit, because all local permits are issued through the ZBA. Hence the whole, the comprehensive permit aspect is because the ZBA is the comprehensive permit granting authority. So, so with respect to the stormwater management bylaw, we believe that our project complies with the requirements under the Stormwater Management Act. We've had some dialogue with the peer reviewer, making sure that we're using the right calculations for certain things. But I think it's a matter of not having to go to the Conservation Commission to request the stormwater management permit. And obviously, council can advise the board on that, but that is our understanding.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. So that would hold for waivers for local wetland protection as well as waivers from stormwater management regulations. Is that
On the, so with respect to the wetlands protection or the local wetland bylaw, there is one waiver there that we're requesting. We generally comply with the local bylaw, principally being the 25-foot no disturb. So we're not looking for any waivers. We're respecting that bylaw. There is, the local bylaw has additional resource values for certain resource areas, and that is one area within the local wetland bylaw that we are requesting a waiver from. And I've got our wetland scientist that's on the joining by Zoom. I don't know if, Tom, you want to provide any additional color on that.
Good evening, everybody. Tom Schutz from Goddard Consulting. To clarify, I think the one area that we'd be really requesting a waiver for is the 348-3 protection of buffer zones and vernal pools specifically.
I'm sorry, you're a
protection-
little soft, so could you say that section
Yeah.
again, please?
It's 348-3, section C, protection of vernal pools. So the area on our site, the wetland, has been mapped by Natural Heritage as a potential vernal pool, and that would have no additional protections under the Wetlands Protection Act. However, the bylaw indicates that the 100-foot buffer zone associated with the wetland in the vernal pool becomes a 100-foot no disturb buffer zone. In that case, any building in that buffer zone would not be allowed under any certain circumstances unless we were to prove that this area is not considered to be important to the wetland itself. That being said, we're not going to be within the 25-foot no disturb, which is another section of this part of the bylaw, not impacting any of that. And then additionally, we're only impacting about 6% of the total buffer zone on site to that potential vernal pool. So very minimal impacts in general, but I don't believe that this area would even be able to be built within if this section would not be waived of the local bylaw.
And also, just for clarification, we will go before the Conservation Commission, and this will all be presented to the Conservation Commission, and they'll have to order, approve or not approve an order of conditions. So we're simply looking to address this during the order of conditions.
And when you say you'll go before the Conservation Commission, you're talking about seeking a notice of intent?
Correct.
For the state?
Correct.
Regulations?
Correct.
Okay. And same things, Chapter 343, Stormwater Management.
Yes, it
Looks
was
like
the
we're
same,
all
it's
set
the
on
same
that.
topic,
Same
it's just,
thing?
there's
Okay.
a regulation and a bylaw, technically they're two different documents, so it's the same
Okay.
issue.
I think there are one or two things you were going to provide to us before the next meeting. If I remember correctly, or if I'm getting punchy at this point and mixing up the last one with this one. But if not,
I believe everything
everything has been straightened out? Okay.
has been,
Board
yes.
members have any questions?
No.
Stu or Ryan?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, thank you.
Attorney Winter, any questions from you?
Not at this time. I would just request through you, Mr. Chair, that, excuse me, that maybe we just revise some of the language on the waiver list just to be reflective of the discussion we just had. I think it would probably be useful to just get that clarification into the document. And that's it from me.
Okay, you can do that?
We can do that.
Okay, excellent, thank you. Attorney Winter, I realize that at the last hearing, we didn't invite public comment. Didn't seem, frankly, that it was the type of hearing with the information we were going over that public comment would be useful, but I think we probably should have public comment now before we continue the hearing. Would that be correct?
It's up to you, Mr. Chairman, and the board. I think public comment is always useful, and I'm sure you'd agree, irrespective of some of the topics we've covered tonight, waivers, for example. But also, just as the board knows, there's going to be another public hearing night on the 28th. And so for folks that weren't able to comment tonight, there'll be another chance before we start talking about closing those hearings. So up to you, Mr. Chairman. You can certainly entertain it if that's the board's wish.
Fellow board members, I think public comment would be appropriate, and I apologize to the public that didn't have an opportunity to comment at the last hearing, but they will have an opportunity on the 28th. Okay, I think we're good, Mr. Lopez.
Thank you.
And public comment is now opened, and if you're here, please line up. If you're on Zoom and wish to speak, please indicate, and we will alternate one and one. Yes, please.
Claudia Bennett, 9 Sandstone Way. I just had a couple of questions regarding, I was wondering if there are renderings of this project in terms of height and setbacks? And if not, would those be made available?
I think with the original plans, there were drawings of the building, but they weren't specific renderings. The plans have where the buildings are located and the heights, but they're not renderings.
Correct.
Are renderings? Okay, then, so if you go online and look at the website for 61 Waverly and the architectural plans, there should be, those were submitted a long time ago.
Yeah, okay, I'll look.
which
I
is why I didn't
honestly hadn't
remember it.
looked for these, but, and they would also have setbacks? I know
Yeah.
it's 100 feet, I believe, and I
No,
know
all
that
the
when we
draw-
built the high school, we thought 200 feet was, we wouldn't even be able to see it from the street, and that's certainly not the case. So I think it's important for people to be able to see those things. The other thing, in terms of the renderings, and I would say the same for 10 to 60 Main, is it would be helpful if it could be shown in relationship to other buildings in scale, so that when you look at 61 Waverly, perhaps show in what it looks like with the high school across the street. I mean, the high school is actually a little elevated, so it would probably be favorable in terms of how it would look. But I think when you were talking renderings, and the purpose of looking at a rendering is to understand the size of the structure, and how it fits the community, I think it's important to include the surrounding buildings, so that a person understands fully what this looks like, or at least has a better understanding.
Okay.
Then I also would be interested in what sorts of things are done to encourage people from not using cars. Would there be sidewalks that would be added? Would there be additional busing, something that would take people to the train. I'm not sure when, when developers talk about that they don't need parking because they're gonna do things that will encourage people not to use cars. I never quite understand what that means.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you. Anybody online? No? Okay, then you're next.
Joan Gonfrati, One Shore Road. I'm on the Historical Commission speaking as a resident. I have concerns about the water and the sewer concerns. And I feel that these developments, as they are proposed, once they are all built, what I looked at, it looks like we're going to have about 81,000 gallons per day left in Ashland. And I'm very concerned and would like to see the developers coordinate creating a well for us. I understand that we have an option for MWRA, but I don't think anything has been done to confirm that MWRA is going to have long-term water for us, and I don't believe we have a contract in perpetuity for that. The other would be sewer. I think Mr. Fafford back in the 80s had to create a pumping station, and I would hope that these developers would also be asked to do that. And I also sent in some other concerns that I have and conditions that I hope the board will take under advisement. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Johnson. I was just curious about the memo on the removal of the ledge. I guess if there was about 100 foot of ledge that either they weren't or they were not going to remove that. So just want to know what happened.
There was the engineering report, which I believe is online, isn't it? Addresses what would need to be done, the extent of the construction that they claim would need to be done to do it, and a rough estimate of what the cost would be. So you can see that online.
Okay.
Okay, that closes out public comment. Is there a motion to continue this hearing to Tuesday, October 28th at 7 p.m.?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
Thank you. I, John Trefethan, vote in favor.
Hi, Brian Forrest, I'll vote in favor.
I, Stuart Siegel, vote in favor.
I, Ryan Sullivan, vote in favor.
Excellent. Then this matter is continued to October 28th. Thank you very much, Mr. Lopez. I got the name right this time. Okay. Moving on to the next item on our agenda is the continuance of a public hearing at 55 West Union Street, another 40B comprehensive permit. And I see we have the applicant here. And Mr. Dudley, do you mind if we refer to you as John, because that's what everybody knows you as here in town?
We also have Lynn Sweet online.
Okay, welcome.
Ready to go?
We are.
All right.
You know, I wanted to talk about what we can hopefully accomplish tonight, because we had our peer review on the stormwater peer review, which came out, and we submitted it to you folks. And Cornerstone Engineering issued a response to that, detailed response with new plans and everything on October 13th, yesterday. Which obviously is a holiday and the town department was closed, so nobody received this until today. And what I would propose is that our peer reviewer be given an opportunity to review Cornerstone Engineering's detailed response, and I'm very pleased the way they set it up by listing the items raised by our peer reviewer and then highlighting each response below the question in darkened type to make it very easy to see that they've that they've replied to each and every request, but to give our peer reviewer an opportunity to review their response and see whether we're in agreement on that and we can move on to other items. We still do not have our civil engineering peer review back, correct?
Mike Carter from GCG is doing the civil, so he hasn't had time to review the comments that were just received yesterday, but we're also waiting for traffic.
Traffic, okay, but, so
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
I'm gonna hand it over to you.
somebody's, I'm hearing a
That's Lynn
voice.
Sweet.
Okay,
She-
yes, Ms. Sweet.
Yeah, that's Lynn Sweet, our
Hi.
lead consultant on this, so.
I'm
I'll
sorry,
turn
did
it
I
to her.
misspeak about the engine? Is it not Mike Carter? But we're also waiting for comments for peer review because, for civil, because they just got those comments yesterday.
Okay, no,
So,
that's
yeah.
fine. That's what I was saying.
Yes.
We don't have that back
No.
yet, so we're not in a position to really discuss the civil engineering aspect of this project or traffic until we get the traffic peer review back. Yes, Ms. Sweet.
Hi, Lynn Sweet, LDS Consulting Group. My apologies. I have strep, so I didn't want to bring it into Ashland.
We appreciate that.
We have no issue with continuing this till your next meeting to allow the Cornerstone response to be reviewed, and we apologize for not getting you something until this later date. There certainly were a number of comments, and we just wanted
I'm
to be
sorry,
thorough in our
I'm having a
response.
problem understanding you. Your voice is kind of soft, so if you can speak louder. And one of my hearing aids is broken and in the repair shop, so I'm operating at 50% capacity.
Yeah, and I just turned
Perfect.
the volume up on my computer.
Excellent.
So we have no problem. We will be happy to come back in 2 weeks and go through civil in detail. And as noted, we haven't seen the stormwater and we haven't seen the sewer reviews. And as soon as we get those, we will certainly turn them around.
Okay, excellent. Then my thought would be, it would probably behoove us in a better use of everybody's time to continue this matter to the 28th. Have you come back where we're going to have more peer review. Our peer reviewer on stormwater will have undoubtedly be received. Transportation should be received. Civil engineering hopefully will be received, and we can really start to dig into the project and make rapid progress.
Yeah, and we also just, with no disrespect to the department heads, we didn't want to respond to water and sewer until we had that full peer review in. And I guess our only other request would be, is it possible to get a little earlier on the agenda, since it is going to be a lot to walk through this whole review?
We try to rotate people and cases so that not everybody is last. I think Mr. Lopez at 61 Waverly was last at one point, and then we moved him up to first at the next hearing. Mr. Engler's project has bounced between first, second, and third. We'll do our best to move you up so that you're not third out of the 3 comprehensive permits. But obviously with 3 comprehensive permits, 2 of which our time is running out at the end of October, yours is very early on in the stage, so that we have more time to do what we need to do with your claim. We don't have to continue it to the 28th. We can go to our next meeting, which would be November 11th, but you would undoubtedly have a much earlier place in the schedule. So I guess I would leave it up to you whether you want to wait basically 4 weeks, but be first on the list, or wait 2 weeks and be behind 1, which may take up a long time, but probably be second.
We're happy to come back in 2 weeks and see, where we are to keep things moving. Is the 11th Veterans Day, though?
It
That's
is.
my only concern.
Then we're not going to be meeting on the 11th.
Do you meet like an alternative night that week? Is that what happens?
That's,
Or
well, you know,
skip it?
that's very interesting, because in my calendar, it didn't schedule. Do I have the right,
It is Veterans Day.
it is Veterans Day, but that's the Tuesday?
Yes.
How did we screw that up?
I don't think we have anything posted for that. Luckily, everything was continued to the 28th so far.
And just to also to let you know,
No,
our
well,
attorney Paul
let's-
Haverty is on the line, and he's the one who figured that out for us.
Okay, well, November 4th is Election Day, so we're not going to be meeting on Election Day. Can we meet on Monday, the 10th?
I'm good with that. I know John and Vito are in the room. And Paul's online. Just want to see if the rest of the team can make both these dates.
I don't think that conflicts with anything, November 10th.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I think November 10th is okay from the townhouse. I don't think that conflicts with any other board's
Okay,
meeting.
fellow board members, November 10th.
I can do it.
Okay. Stu?
I can attend.
Okay, and Ryan, November 10th?
Yes, I can attend that.
Okay, well, then why don't we change it to November 10th? We're going to need to notify the two previous hearings November 10th and not the 11th, because we've made a motion to continue it to the 11th.
No, you continued until October 28th for both of them.
Oh, I'm sorry, October 28th.
Yeah, we haven't scheduled anything.
Okay, so
We're
what
in the
am I
clear
talk-
so far.
So what am I talking about?
It was good to get it out of the way now. And
Well,
everybody can
that's
make it.
true, but I'm ahead of myself, but behind everything else, so you're all set for coming back on the October 28th then?
28th, and we'll plan on the 10th as well,
Okay,
just a placeholder kind of thing.
okay, no, that's fine.
Okay, all right. And I'm getting texts, and it looks like
Yeah,
our
and
team is.
we'll
can
make
make
sure
both
you're
as
not,
well.
you're not third of the three 40B projects.
Yeah, and just to kind of manage expectations on the 28th, I think, given what else you have on the agenda and that it's only 2 weeks away, I think, taking care of civil is probably realistic. Even if we got the peer reviews tomorrow, for the other two, I'm not sure we can turn our responses around and have both sides be ready for the 28th, but I'm sure that the 10th, we could certainly cover both topics for sure.
Again,
For traffic and
the
sewer.
two other comprehensive permit requests are very near the end of their time in which we have to complete the hearing. You have a long way to go before you reach
Yeah.
that point, so.
Yeah, we don't want to
I
force
don't
it.
mean to push you off, but as a practical matter, in trying to schedule things, we're scheduling priorities where deadlines are in place. We don't have a deadline in this case yet. Hopefully we won't, because I think we can probably once we get started, we can make really quick progress and not come anywhere near the full time we would normally, that the statute gives us. However,
That is wonderful news, and we'll go at your pace. Thank you so much.
October 28th, 7 PM. Is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
Thank you,
Would
yes.
somebody like to make a motion to continue this hearing to the 28th of October at 7 PM?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
Aye, John Trefethan, vote in favor.
I, Brian Forrestall, vote in favor.
I, Stuart Siegel, vote in favor.
I, Ryan Sullivan, vote in favor.
Excellent. This matter is continued then to Tuesday, October 28th at 7 PM. And I
Thank
finally
you.
got it right.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in. Okay, next item on the agenda is continued public hearing on 0 Myrtle Street and a variance request. This matter came on for hearing on September 30th. We had testimony from the applicant's attorney. We heard from two neighbors who also spoke on the matter. We had counsel, our counsel, giving us some guidance on that. The sitting members on the hearing were Brian Forrestall, Ryan Sullivan, and myself. And we discussed the matter and determined that we would grant the variance, and we requested Jasmine to draft a decision. She has drafted the decision, sent it out to us. Jasmine, did you receive any proposed changes from anyone?
I did not.
Okay, anyone have any questions? Brian, do you have any questions about the hearing?
I do not have any questions.
Ryan, any questions about the hearing?
None, thank you.
Decision? Okay, I was comfortable with it. We wanted to make sure that that it was clear that the lot that the variance was sought for, and if the variance was given to allow for the a new driveway rather than on the frontage for Myrtle Street, that it would be clear that it was that it was all one parcel and not potentially subdivided in the future. And the decision as drafted talks about the locus and the property as one property, so I think we're protected in that sense. So I will entertain a motion to approve the hearing decision as drafted.
So moved.
And Ryan, do you wish to second that?
Seconded.
Okay. I, John Trefethan, vote in favor.
I, Brian Forrestall, vote in favor.
I, Ryan Sullivan, vote in favor.
Excellent. Jasmine, do we have the signature page on that for me to sign, or?
Yes, it should be in the packet, but I can grab it.
Oh, okay, you know what, let me go to the packet, because I never use the packet. Yeah. Okay, I can do it later. Okay, next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from our previous meeting on September 30th, 2025. Again, the minutes were sent out to us at the end of last week. Anybody have any proposed changes on that? I know I submitted 3 very minor grammatical changes, and I believe those were made, including on page 2, I was referred to as Ms. Trefethan and not Mr. Trefethan, so we definitely had to change that.
An honest mistake.
Definitely an honest mistake. And there were a couple of other typos which were changed. Anybody have any other changes with the minutes that were drafted for September 30th?
No.
Stu, you all set?
Yes, sir.
And Ryan?
I'm all set as well.
Okay, motion to approve the September 30th, 2025 meeting minutes as presented then.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
I, John Trefethan, vote in favor.
I, Brian Forrestall, vote in favor.
I, Stuart Siegel, vote in favor.
I, Ryan Sullivan, vote in favor.
Excellent. Next item on the agenda is staff updates and administrative matters. Jasmine, any updates or administrative matters we need to deal with?
None at this time.
That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you very much. That being said, if there's nothing else from anyone, a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And is there a second?
Seconded.
Second.
Thank you. I thought we weren't going to move or leave. I, John Trefethan, vote in favor.
I, Brian Forrestall, vote in favor.
I, Stuart Siegel, vote in favor.
I, Ryan Sullivan, vote in favor.
Excellent. Thank you all. Thank you, WACA, and we will see everybody on October 28th.